We're done with the shepherds. We're going to begin tonight's meeting with a pledge to the flag, if you'll join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Could I have a motion to approve the village board meeting minutes from April 6, 2023?
Moved.
I'll second.
Any additions, corrections, deletions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Citizens' comments, we're leading off with Paul DeFleece. We put the mic up high again just for you.
You knew I was coming. The first one. Oops, wait a second. Oh, wait, this. Well, Eddie, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. First of all, greetings and thank you for letting me speak again tonight. I appreciate your attention 2 weeks ago and stuff, but I also want to say that a lot has happened in the last 2 weeks, and I want to update you and then ask for your help once again. Mayor, I appreciate he promised that he would follow up with the Department of Transportation and with the incoming superintendent of schools, and the mayor did, and I appreciate that very much.
Welcome.
In speaking with the Department of Transportation, when we spoke the other day, when you called me, I got the impression that they have not been contacted by the Board of Education or the school district to approve any plan. And that when you reported the plan, described it as if they seemed to have reservations that was a good idea. Is that a fair assessment?
That's fair.
Okay. And that I think in our conversation, you mentioned to me that you had some reservations as well.
I had reservations when Lieutenant Lockwood and I met with them on a Zoom call back in the fall. I think we both expressed concern with that much traffic coming in and out of Oswego Street and couldn't handle it. And when I talked to Joe DeBarbary after our last meeting, and he said he understands those concerns, and he's not sure that it would be able to go the way they have it designed right now. That they are wary of that setup.
Right.
So
Okay.
we have their attention. That's the best part.
Yes, and I appreciate that, and you've certainly facilitated that. Joe actually Dr. Barber came to my house last Thursday, unannounced, with Kim Lyle. I think that's like an administrative assistant, I forget her title, but she came, very nice. We walked through my house, but that wasn't the place we needed to tour. So we immediately went to the backyard, and they stood in my backyard and then walked to the green area behind my house. I'm at 17 East Oneida Street, so you know where that is. It's right across from the church there. And it's a brown gable house. So anyways, he looked up and down, and we talked about, if there's a road, look at houses going up towards Oswego Street or even closer to the building. Down a little bit, there's a little bit more room. Some of our lots are a little bit bigger by a matter of a few feet. But that it would certainly cramp things to put a 2-lane road, and what was proposed looked to be like a 100-car parking lot. And he agreed, and I think you did summarize it very well to him. I think they're very willing, they have our attention, we have their attention, I should say, and they're very willing to look at possible alternatives. And we even discussed them that day. So I left very encouraged by his willingness to work, and so that's good. I had spoken to, a couple days before that, I had spoken at the Board of Education meeting, and really somewhat challenged them to say, who did you contact? The propaganda for the proposal, the capital improvement project, said that citizens were contacted. Well, nobody on my street was contacted about any of it, and nobody on Mechanic Street and Virginia and Palmer, any of us that would be probably most impacted by, or Oswego Street, by that proposal were contacted. And I asked to see the traffic study. Apparently there's a traffic study been done, but I don't know if they were considering only traffic issues versus, neighborhood situations or whatever. So in any event, that prompted, the Board of Education meeting, and then 3 days later, Dr. Barbary came over, and we had a very cordial meeting. So I was very encouraged, and I want to keep the momentum going. That's what I'm here for tonight. I don't want to be a one and done and say we're done. So, but I'm sure many of you know what a guided imagery is, okay? And just take a minute, it's about a minute long, a little bit more than a minute. Just imagine that it's 7:15 on a weekday morning and you're heading south on Oswego Street on your way to work from Smoky Hollow. That day you're running a few minutes late, but you're lucky because the warning light at the top of the hill was not lit, meaning that there was going to be a green light when you got to Oswego and Oneida Street. However, right as you came over the crest, you saw 6 cars there not parked, but suddenly at the traffic light. What's the holdup, you wonder? The light's green, what's going on? Then you see the issue. Oh wait, there's a car heading south on Oswego Street that's trying to turn left on East Oneida Street, but they can't because this car's coming up the road north on Oswego Street. They want to turn into the new road, the new entry, if the school district gets it built. So they're coming up, the car wants to go left, they can't do anything. Then of course, you're in a hurry, so you look, well wait, I'll just pass them on the right. And you can do that at that light. You can, I mean, maybe you shouldn't. I don't know if you should or shouldn't. Mike isn't here, but I understand. But anyways, you can sneak by, okay? But you couldn't sneak by because there's a mother dropping off their kid right at the intersection. The light is green, they're dropping off their kid because they want the kid to walk safely across the crosswalk to get to the school property. Well, at that time you noticed that 3 cars had just turned right on East Oneida Street, from East Oneida Street to Oswego Street. Okay? But they can't move past the intersection because the cars that couldn't do left out of the school parking lot, out of the school road, new road we'll call it, they were boxed in, but they decided to kind of inch out into traffic thinking that when the light's going to be green, they'll go through the intersection. Oops, they can't do that. Why? Because the crossing light with the crosswalk for the students or any pedestrian, that's kept the light green. And so that's what we have, okay? In a nutshell, I'm not saying it's a perfect scenario, it's not hell, but it's a mess. And in light of that, we just ask, for your cooperation with the board, this village board, to carefully consider what options could be available to the community at large, and to, in particular, our 14 houses on East Oneida Street. What I said, things have changed. When we initially met, I don't think, as I recall, you, Mayor, you had not been updated on the plan for a number of months and really didn't know if it was even going to take this shape. Correct? Yes. Okay. Well, now we have that idea that at least they thought about taking this shape. Or maybe they'll change it. Okay, but that's new. That's new from the last meeting. The second of all, the safety issue, maybe you didn't like my little imagery, but it does point out that it's not the answer to everything by putting a road there, I think it can cause concerns. The mayor had concerns, the lieutenant had concerns when they met, and they still have concerns, meaning that's still a real issue. The third thing is that, and I believe, Mayor, you didn't realize that the house on the corner of East Oneida and Oswego Street is listed in the National Historic Registry. And
I knew that.
Okay, well, some people didn't, I'll say that, okay? And there are rules about what you can do near those kind of places because they're historic nature. And the one house is actually on East Oneida and Oswego, but the rest of the house is designated, which the village worked very hard to get designated, go down West Oneida Street for the most part, except for the one house on top of the hill. The 14 homeowners that border are asking for your help. What would help us to keep keep our concerns alive and strengthen our position so that the school district decides to modify their plan? Can it be a motion by this board to say this is not a good plan? Can it be some kind of resolution passed by the board? I don't know. I mean, if you'd like a petition, would that help? You can get a petition up. We don't know really what to do at this point, and so we're asking for your help.
Well, we've had the communications with the school, with Joe DeBarbary. He's aware of our concern. If it gets to the point where they're just going to slam dunk and put it through, then we probably would write a letter to the state and the school asking that they reconsider. And there's a limit. I mean, it sounds like all we have to do is say we don't want it, and that's okay. But there's a limit to what they're going to listen to us either, because it is their property. But the state has the ultimate say on Oswego Street.
Yeah.
So we would probably contact the state and ask them to take a little stronger stand. I was pleased that Joe DeBarbary sounded like he realized that they might have to change the way they do that entranceway if they continue with the project. I did ask him about why they buried that project in with the school pool and gym and all those things, and it's partly because the area where the parking lot will be where they store construction equipment during that renovation. So his comment to me was, if this gets approved now, it's going to be at least a year before probably bids go out, and by the time they do all the work on building a new pool and doing additions on the gym, it is very likely to be 3 to 4 years down the road before that parking area is even considered. So there is some time on our side too. It's a little hard to tell the school what they can do on their property. So we have to be a little mindful of that. But we understand your concerns, and we will continue to push your concerns in front of the school. And we'll see what happens.
Would it be helpful for you to receive the traffic study? I mean, it might be 1 page or it might be 100 pages. I have no idea. Would that even make a difference, or you have enough to know that you wouldn't prefer to have it there anyways?
I don't think I'd need to see a traffic study, because I'm not sure that it carries a lot of weight, because the whole concern is that entrance and exit, and even the state guy said, doesn't matter what a traffic study shows. We know how far away the traffic light is from that entrance. Mm-hmm. We know that there's a hill there. We'll give it strong consideration when they finally come to us. He was not surprised that they hadn't approached them yet, because he said, why would you approach us and get us to do a study when they haven't even gotten it approved yet? Yeah. Once they get it approved, he assumes they will then have their engineer come forward with, asking for help with the project.
Yeah, I mean, certainly the village is most familiar with how the roads are traveled and impacted. Sure. And stuff like that, much more than the Department of Transportation from a Google map or whatever. So, Mayor, how would we, it slipped by us once. I'm talking about the neighborhood and stuff like this. How can we best keep informed that you've been contacted by the DOT, for example? Can we have any input from the DOT? Or that the school is not trying to negotiate with you, that just try to inform you. Joe seemed to say he will contact the neighbors and stuff like this, but we weren't contacted the first time. What can I say? Is there a way, there's some assurance that we can have that if things start to move along, because I'll guess that the project will pass, but I agree it probably won't take effect, meaning built out for 3 years or more. They said that to us as well. By the time they do other things, it's a lower priority project rather than the gym and the pool. But I don't want to miss it, and the thing is all planned, and we didn't have input again.
If I could say something real quick, I think your best avenue is you've got to work closely with the school board, because anybody is, if they're doing studies on that with the state, they're going to deal with the school district, because that's their role.
Their role.
And if you go to the school, I mean, we've always worked really well with the school, and they've always given us whatever information we need, but you've got to get to the school board meetings, and they're the ones that have the good information. Anything that we're going to get is going to be through them, through someone else, but any studies have to go to them. They don't go to us on their road. So you really got to get an ear from someone on the school board, because they're the ones that are driving the bus.
All right, well, thank you for the suggestion. That's a good suggestion. I guess if you happen to hear anything, let me know, all right? Thank you very much.
Good to see you, Paul.
All right, good to see you.
For anyone else that wishes to address the board? Hearing no one, we'll move on to trustees' comments and start with trustee Shepherd.
Two things. One, I won't be at the next meeting. And two, I wasn't gonna, but I will call a short executive session for a contract update.
Thank you. Let me see, that must be FGH. Exec session. Okay. And is that it? Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. Move on to that.
Just like to say I'm happy to see signs of spring, including watching the street sweeper come down the road the other day when I was out for my walk at lunchtime. So that's a sure sign that spring is here, is when I see the sweeper doing its job. Other than that, I will stick to the agenda.
I'm sticking to the agenda.
I'll stick with the agenda, thank you.
A lot of sports going on. Just go out there and support sports. You know, I'm the sports guy, so you know, and you know, go Bees, go Yanks, and you know, you got baseball, or you got hockey playoffs starting up. The greatest time of the year, in my opinion, is hockey playoffs. It is awesome to watch, and then the NBA playoffs. So that's it. So, yep, and enjoy spring.
Moving on to the mayor's comments.
What, you don't like the sports?
Well, I don't know.
When's your cycling going to start? When is the Tour de France or whatever for you?
I won't be reporting on that.
I have a couple things. Just so the board knows, Chuck and I talked a couple times today, yesterday. Lysander board is holding a public hearing tonight to consider adding a water district on Mills Road, which is, if you're familiar with the Reeves stand on 370 going towards Plainville, it's the road right there by the stand. It goes down to the river. We had some concerns. The number one concern is that they did not address the village to tell us the plans for hooking up to our water. It apparently was a lack of communication from their engineer to tell us that they're having the public hearing, but at my request, they've agreed to just adjourn the public hearing at least for one meeting until they can officially address us, whether they address the Public Works Committee in a special meeting, whether they come to the next board meeting. There are questions. They want to set up a water district and hook up to another water district next to it, except that that's not a water district. Chuck has been working hard to try to get things straightened out. It's not Chuck's job to do their work. And Bob Wicks agrees, and so he wants to get it straightened out too. He was totally in agreement with holding off on approving letting them go to a referendum until we get this straightened out, and he wants to do anything he can to get it straightened out. So, in case you hear anything, and you watch the Lysander meeting or whatever, Bob Wicks has been great at trying to make sure we get this straightened out. He said, well, all I need to know is that the village is comfortable with what this might happen, so let's get it done the right way. So that's where we stand with that. I know Bruce was concerned, and rightfully so. Water is one of Bruce's babies, and you know, he's the guy I turn to for advice when we have questions about our water service, our rates, all that type of stuff.
Hey Clark, while you're on that subject, can I ask Chuck a couple questions on that subject? How far would we have would our system be extended? Where ours ends and where they want to take this to? Because I looked at it on Google and I was surprised at how far out it was.
Well, our where they want to hook up, that's our Donut plant. And we service everything from there into the village now. And there's just going to go down Mills Road and just a little bit down past that. There's not going to be a lot of users down there.
Unless are they running 3/4 of a mile of supply pipe to feed 10 houses?
I'm not sure the footage because we haven't seen anything on it yet. So they really got to get to us and tell us what they want. We have not seen a plan at all yet.
Couple more. Who absorbs the cost of installation?
They do.
Who absorbs the cost of maintenance?
If it's maintenance and they turn it over to us, that'll go to us.
Because we're gonna get a water district with 0 fund balance.
Correct.
And if something happens, you tell me we're on the hook.
Unless they put some money aside when they do that, I don't know if that, I'm not sure if that's an option or not, but I know that was asked at the public hearing and their engineer said the village's responsibility once it's turned over.
And no sewers.
There's no sewers up there now.
And are they gonna get new meters? I'm just kidding.
And they'll pay for it. If the district goes ahead, everything will be built out and everything will be built out and paid for. And then they'll traditionally they hand that over. The question we have now is, it was presented to us that they're gonna hook up to a district and there's not a district there. So we gotta figure this district thing out first. And once they do that, it shouldn't be a big deal. Once the pipe's full, you know, it's not like you're pumping a lot of water, it's just those few houses down. There's not a lot of houses. I don't know if there's 20 or 30 houses there.
I would have thought there was like 10 or 15.
Yeah, you could be very right.
The difference between this and the other districts we took over is this will be brand new and it'll be built to our specs.
Correct.
That's why we're holding up this guided review.
Yes.
So it'll be, in theory, it's going to be 100% correct the day the water's turned on. So we shouldn't be looking at a water main break within a year.
Yeah, I mean, it should be good for years and years. But
I've seen sprinkler pipe break a week after it was installed.
and we're having more trouble with cast iron pipe now, so I mean, you're absolutely right.
Well, we will also need an agreement.
Correct.
And so we could put in terms in the agreement relative to a timeframe for the district's responsibility and then the village's responsibility.
Correct. That probably comes through a lot, but yes.
I think they got the cart in front of the horse a little bit. They got excited. They have to have a referendum of the people on the road. I was given the impression that in the beginning, it was about 80% of the people were for the water district, and now it's more like a 50-50. I'm not sure what the numbers are that they have to have on the referendum to pass it. But where they wanted to hook up was very convenient, except it wasn't going to work well for us, and that's what's important. And where we tell them they got to go hook up, it's going to cost more. And so there was some concern, well, we don't want to make it more expensive. Well, you got to do what's right, and right for us. I mean, we're going to be holding this district, and we needed it to be operating the way it's supposed to be. And I count on Bruce for a lot of water ideas, and when we start talking about hookup and flow and stuff, I yield to Chuck, and we've talked about this quite a bit in the last week or two. And so I feel more confident than I did before that asking them to hold off was the right thing to do, and for them to address us as soon as they can, so that we can ask questions about what, like Mike Shepard just asked, and so that all those things are buttoned up and we can feel comfortable going ahead. And I appreciate being able to rely on people like Bruce and Chuck. So, if anybody have any more questions on Water District?
And Bob Wicks was in my office today, and some of the confusion that we had earlier on, he was great, and so that part went well. We just need information. So.
I
Okay.
have a question, if I can. What happens if they decide to build more houses out there?
They have to give the agreement that we draw will address that.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
This agreement would be for a finite number of services. And the way we've done it in the past is if you want to add service within a district, you need to come back to this body to get permission. It's our water.
Okay. I just wanted, thank you. I know I'm out of turn. I appreciate it.
Okay. Back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. It's that, hearing Megan talk about spring and is in the air. It's also time for hanging flower plants around the village. Women's Garden Club is soliciting people who might want to pay $55 for a hanger to put up along the street. You can do it in memory of a family member. You can do it in honor of your grandkids. Anything you want to do. The flowers, the hanging flowers, are just a real special thing in our village. We get a lot of comments from people outside the village. They'll send an email to me and say, what a spectacular view driving in and seeing all these flowers hanging from the poles. And the Garden Club does a great job. If anybody's interested, we have information on the Village of Baldwinsville Facebook site. And if you don't have Facebook, you can call me and I'll send you a link.
Mr. Mayor, it's on the website also. It's on the website also.
Yes, on the website, okay. So you can find it one of those two ways, and otherwise the Garden Club will help you. They're very helpful in getting you signed up. May 1st, at the library from 6 to 7:30 is a chance to meet the candidates for the school board. If you remember, there was quite a contentious time when they were deciding what to do with the superintendent, and a lot of talk about people telling the school board members they should resign, and people talking about we should really get behind the election the next time. Well, this is how to find out who's on that ballot and what their stands are and the things that you're concerned about. So that's May 1st, 6 to 7:30 in the village library. And I just want to remind or just send out condolences again to Chief Leffencheck at the loss of his dad. They're very close. Talked to him a couple times this week, and it's tough. His dad was not doing well, but he's kind of sad he's never going to get a chance to share with him again. So our hearts go out to Chief Leffencheck. That's it.
Moving on to department heads. Go to Bob.
I'll stick with the agenda.
Thank you.
Unless there's any questions.
You're up, Jody.
I'll stick to the agenda, thank you.
Okay. Mark.
I'm not sticking to the agenda. I got a couple things. First of all, I missed the approval of the minutes, but NY class was approved as an authorized depository last meeting, and that's not in the minutes. So I don't know what the Robert's Rules of Orders are, but I just want to be sure that gets recorded. So
I can add them, it's fine.
Yeah, just make a correction.
Yeah.
okay. There is no investment policy at this week's meeting. I thought I would have it ready for this meeting, but there's nothing wrong. It's just the woman that I need to talk to at NY class and myself connecting and getting through this long list of authorized investments that we need defined in the policy. So I would expect that it'll be the next meeting. But I attended a webinar today from NICOM about, it was financial stuff for board members and treasurers. And there's a couple other policies that we're going to jump onto right after we do the investment policy, and one is the fund balance management policy, which it's always when we prepare the budget, it's easier to prepare a budget when you know what your goal is for the fund balance. And we should be driving the budget process around the fund balance and where we want to be. And you can see, there's other municipalities in central New York that have stated publicly that they have too much money right now. Their fund balance is too high, is what they're saying. And the state frowns on that and wants you not to have that high of a fund balance. They also don't like it when you have too low of a fund balance, and if a rainy day comes, you're not able to weather those storms. So that's the goal of the fund balance planning. And then we build our budget around that. And that if we work our budget properly, at the end of the year, we will augment that fund balance by that amount of money, or we will not take any more than what we had planned on taking from the fund balance. We also received a check this week from Monsanto, a class action lawsuit against Monsanto that we're part of by default. I think there are thousands of municipalities in the country that are part of it. And it was PCB usage, PCB entering the water systems in the country, and there were several prongs of it. I'm certainly not an expert. We received $17,700 and some for it, which was put to the water fund. And what I will tell you is there's a settlement description online, and Chuck, I'll send you the link to it. We may want to have somebody look and see if there is anything that they're asking us or recommending that we do with that money. We receive the funds as part of the monitoring settlement, and the monitoring is at our sole discretion, monitoring for PCBs. I don't know what we do now, and it's not my part of the gig here, so, but I didn't want it to go by the wayside and not, after receiving that money, not be addressed by somebody, you know, Chuck, Dunn and Segrono, Bob, whomever. So, and that's it. Thank you.
Moving on to Ruth.
Just one thing I want to share with the board. April is National Volunteer Recognition Month, and the Senior Center will be recognizing and thanking our volunteers on Monday with a luncheon. But I also wanted to publicly thank the volunteers, because I know you all are aware, but maybe everyone isn't, that the Senior Center runs thanks to the time, energy, and efforts of many, many volunteers, and we do appreciate them. So Monday's their day. And that's it, unless anybody has any questions.
I'll move on and welcome our Codes Enforcement Officer, Tim.
Oh, well, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for allowing me to serve you and your community. And if we've provided a 2-week report for your review, if you'd like anything added or deleted or modified, different format, please feel free to give me a call. Thank you.
Okay.
Welcome aboard, Tim.
And thank you, Mayor.
Moving to Department of Public Works, Chuck.
Yeah, well, it's summertime, so like we said, the sweeper's out here a little bit. We're starting to get the parks open. We've done a bunch of cleanup in the parks, getting the garbage cans out, getting the bathrooms open. Community park, I think the bathroom might be open this weekend because they've got a ball tournament down there. The rest of them will be May 1st when they open up. Water department's working on sewers. You'll see them over on the other side of the river. We're trying to clean that side of the river. I don't know if you remember a few years ago, they had some issues over there, and we told them we'd get over there more often to clean those because there's a lot of flat sewers over there. They're over there working on that. And other than that, it's summertime, it's just busy. We may have one of the kayak launches in tomorrow, depending on how things go. We've got a hearing test that's right in the middle of the day. It's gonna hold things up a little bit, but if we're lucky, we're gonna do the Mercer Park one because the water's down there. Other than that, unless there's questions, we'll stick to the budget or to the agenda.
Any questions? We'll pass the mic on to Lieutenant Mike.
That's all right. We're gonna push a button.
I don't have anything. We can stick to the agenda. I just wanted to thank everyone on behalf of the Leffenchecks. I know a number of people showed up to the calling hours, and I went to the funeral today. That's why he's not here today. But I know he greatly appreciates the turnout from the village, other law enforcement agencies, and everything for the loss of his father. But otherwise than that, I'll just stick to the agenda.
Very good. Thank you. Moving to new business.
We have a motion to proclaim Thursday, May 30th, 2023 as Memorial Day in the village of Baldwinsville. Tuesday. What did I say?
Thursday.
Okay, let's do Tuesday, May 30th.
I'll make the motion.
On second. On Tuesday.
Any discussion beyond that it's Tuesday, not Thursday? All in favor?
And I probably should read the proclamation before you approve the
You
day.
think so?
Yes, he needs to read it.
Before we vote?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Okay.
rescind, yeah.
all right,
So we could not pass if we don't like the proclamation?
that's right. Ready? Here we go. Whereas Memorial Day is a time to reflect on the past, remembering those who helped guarantee our freedoms, and to set aside a day to remember the accomplishments of men and women of valor and courage. And whereas our founding fathers had the wisdom to assure freedom guaranteed and protected by the Constitution of the United States more than 200 years ago. Americans have answered the call to service, and that honorable service performed in the defense of our nation and her cause in time of war is the highest form of citizenship. And whereas the men and women who served in the armed forces of the Grand Army of the Republic, World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, the Persian Gulf, Iran, and Afghanistan have made heroic sacrifices to preserve freedom. And whereas we honor the memory of those killed in action, those who are missing in action, and all who may still be prisoners of war, that they will be returned without delay. We ask for special blessings for those still in Iraq, and whereas the services performed by these millions of gallant Americans have demonstrated the willingness of our nation to meet the challenges of those forces wishing to subjugate individual determination through armed conflict, and whereas the Baldwinsville Memorial Day Committee wishes to keep the traditional day of May 30th as the day to commemorate Memorial Day in Baldwinsville, and whereas Memorial Day was established by General Order Number 11 on 5 May 1868 to commemorate fallen comrades who died in defense of their country, and whereas we remember veterans of all wars and show our appreciation with our vigilance, if not our presence, we will ensure that they did not die in vain. And therefore, I, Richard Clark, Mayor of the Village of Baldwinsville, County of Onondaga, State of New York, declare Tuesday, May 30th, 2023 to be Memorial Day in the Village of Baldwinsville to honor those men and women who paid the ultimate price to preserve the principles of freedom. In witness thereof, I have heretofore set my hand and caused to be affixed the official seal of Baldwinsville, Village of Baldwinsville, Onondaga County, New York, on the 20th day of April, 2023. Richard A. Clark.
All in favor of the motion proclaiming the Tuesday the 30th as Memorial Day? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Moving on to item B, we have a motion to appoint the following as seasonal laborers in the Parks Department with an effective date of April 18th, 2023. Andrew Rice, $17.43 an hour. Patrick Lamaran at $20.50 per hour.
Moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item C, motion to appoint the following seasonal laborers in the Parks Department with an effective date of May 1st, 2023. John Oletta at $17.43 an hour. Michelle Hamilton at $17.43 an hour.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item D, a motion to accept the resignation with regrets of auto mechanic Arthur Sosha, otherwise known as Skip, effective April 28th, 2023.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion?
I've just got a couple things to say if I can.
Go for it.
I met Skip years back, and these people have been in Baldwinsville for a long time. I believe he started his mechanic career at Harold's Garage. I said Rick's earlier, and I got corrected by Bruce, that Harold's was before Rick's. Many people know Skip from, I think he's had 30 plus years in the ambulance corps. He was a medic for years. He worked overnights all the time, and I went on a lot of medic calls with him. He was on that ambulance all the time. He's been with us for almost 27 years. He's fixed things from payloaders to backhoes to plow trucks to police cars to lawnmowers to anything we've had, he's been able to fix. He's been a fantastic employee. We've had conversations from all winter here about he should retire before me, but he didn't seem to think much of that. But he's been a fantastic employee. We're going to miss him, and I wish him the best. And he's excited. And I will tell you, he's got a week left, and he's got all our equipment PM'd. He's gone through the garage. He's put different things on the shelves. The next mechanic that comes in that we're going to talk about in a minute is going to hit the road running. I've also asked the board for a week's pay for him because he said he'll come. He's leaving a week before our next person comes in. He said he's willing to come back off retirement for a week, and a week, even if it's a week at different days, and work with him so he can show him some of the machinery up there, some of the tools. And the new guy's thrilled because he has no idea. But Skip has been a fantastic employee all these years, and he's always there. Middle of the night, I'll call him. You know, we got a plow truck down. He's in the snowbank under the truck, get it running. And I got to say, all the years I've been here, there's not much that he hasn't been able to fix and get running for us. And he's just been a great asset to the village, and we'll miss him. Other than that, thank you, Skip.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item E, a motion to appoint Arthur Skip Sosha as part-time meter reader for 15 hours a month at a rate of $42.33 effective May 1, 2023.
I'll second.
Just something, you want to explain this, Chuck?
So Skip reads meters now, and it's always been a set fee, and they wanted it broke down at an hourly rate. He'll do one side of the river at one point, and does it at his leisure, but we've always gave him a set fee, and he's not going to be able to, he doesn't have to read as much because we've got the cell site almost done, but he's going to continue to do.
Are these the meters that you can't drive by?
Correct, yes.
The ones where they walk through the front yards?
Yeah, and it's always been a part-time thing, and none of the full-timers really cared to do it, and he's always done it, and he said he'll continue to do it, so we're pretty happy with that.
Okay. All in favor?
I have one more quick question. The rate, where did the rate come from? Is that just
We came
to
with,
keep him underneath this?
well, we came with how much we were going to give him it was never broke down by the hour. He was given, I think it's $600 to read 1,300 houses, you know, but for this, Jody wanted it broke down for an hourly rate, and that's what it comes up to. But he's got 2 weeks to read the 1,300 houses, and, you know, in the summertime, it's not so bad. In the wintertime, it takes longer, you know. I remember Brian Trowbridge out there 4 foot of snow, and it was not, it was a struggle.
20 years ago, we paid like per meter. It was a head count that they. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Motion to allow Arthur Skip Sosha to work for an additional 5 days beginning May 4th, 2023 at a rate of $30.33 in order to work with the new mechanic and acquaint him with the facility and vehicles.
I'll move it.
Second.
Makes sense?
And that's his
Yeah,
current,
makes sense.
that's his current hourly rate he gets now.
It's interesting, makes more by being a part-time meter reader. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, item G, a motion to appoint Nathaniel Bednars as auto mechanic at a rate of $27.03 per hour, effective May 4th, 2023, which is $3 below full mechanic rate per the union contract.
Moved.
Second.
We're thrilled to be able to get a mechanic. This was quite a search. It's very difficult to get someone that can work on all the different pieces, that wants to do it. We went through a lot of resumes, and we were months trying to, and we narrowed it down, and at the last minute, this gentleman showed up, and I was very impressed with him, and I think he's going to do a good job for us. We were thrilled to find him.
Trying to remember, the new hire rate is in effect for a year, 6 months, or until you decide that he's off probation?
I believe it's 2 years, but
It's
if,
not 2 years.
it's 2 or 3. I thought it was 3, but then the union, one of the union guys said it was 2, but whatever the contract reads, I don't have it in front of me. But at any time, we can upgrade that. You know, if he comes in and doing a fantastic job and we can bump him up. And his job is different because he's on his own and it makes a big difference. You know, he works with us, he works with the police, and we're just thrilled to be able to get him in there.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. On a side note, the board, Chuck told me this gentleman is a resident of the village, so it's
Yes.
hiring one of our own.
And that's not a really difficult thing, was to find somebody to live in the school district, you know, because that's what our thing is, to get in the school district, and you get a specialized person, it's tough.
So is there anything else? Because the next item is to adjourn into an executive session. I could have a motion to adjourn into executive session.
Second.
Thank you for coming, joining us tonight, Sal.
Thanks, guys.
And good evening.